Since childhood, he was known for his strength. He was so strong that he defeated every man in his village at arm wrestling even before he turned 15. But one day, for reasons unknown, he returned to the village, injured and suffering from memory loss. It was his good luck that allowed him to meet the good-hearted governor, and grew up doing odd jobs for him. Although Sung D-wang had lost his memory, his new life with the governor was good. However, the year D-wang turned 15, the governor passed away suddenly, and even his only family moved away. He was so sad that he took his time cutting many woods and told himself to repay the governor's kindness by living well and working hard. Year by year, working hard without a moment's pause, Sung D-wang, who was now 25, had sorted everything out for himself except for one thing. He hadn't been able to find a wife. He believes that no one in this village deserves to be his wife. His bachelorhood was a product of his inability to judge his own position in society and his unreasonable standards. Since he cannot find a perfect lady for him, he decided to leave this village and go to another. Upon deciding to go on an expedition to find a prospective bride, he found himself face to face with a woman, bruised and injured, looking exactly like Sung D-wang himself did when he first came to the village. He stared at the lady, and this lady looked weak and had difficulty breathing. Seeing a grown woman enter the village alone, with a sword strapped to her, the village people avoided her, scared that she could be a Miram person. But Sung D-wang, who had fallen in love with Beak Jin-jin at first sight, proposed to her. And that too, on the day she had entrusted herself to the house of the widows. They look at each other with a serious face, and Beak Jin-jin casually answered no to Sung D-wang's proposal. Beak Jin-jin was set on spending her life alone and had made it clear by rejecting him flatly. But Sung D-wang was not one to give up and continued to ask her to marry him. He proposed every day and even brought offerings for the lady. He receives rejections many times, but giving up doesn't come to his mind. He did everything he could to beg the lady to give him a chance. No matter how strong the three, it could be felled with less than 3 strikes by Sung D-wang. But Beak Jin-jin remains unmoved even after being hacked 10 times, 30 times. In the end, even the village had come around to try convincing her. They saw how sincere, kind and strong Sung D-wang is, which deserves to be loved. Before he starts to wear out, take him, the lady said to Beak Jin-jin, which made her think. The next day, Sung D-wang started losing hope and accepted his fate to just grow old and die chopping trees. Unexpectedly, Beak Jin-jin suddenly came and told him 120 times. According to the lady, it will be a total of 120 times if Sung D-wang will propose to her now. Sung D-wang became speechless and he paused while looking at the lady. Beak Jin-jin asked about what he should do, so Sung D-wang immediately rushed to her and he proposed again. After proposing marriage 120 times, Sung D-wang was finally able to win her over. After marriage, Sung D-wang used the money he had saved up all this time to set up an inn. Time passed, and the first fruit of their love was born. Sung Woo Mun was born. Sung D-wang and Beak Jin-jin's joy has no bounds. Except, Beak Jin-jin, whose body was already frail, was only further weakened by childbirth. And after giving birth to their second child, Sung Woo came. Her weakened body couldn't even handle stepping outside to get fresh air. Sung D-wang had to spend the money he earned from the inn on medicine for his wife. Beak Jin-jin was so sad that she kept on apologizing to his husband Sung D-wang. Sung D-wang just told her not to bother and just focus on gaining back her health. The lady was so thankful and became emotional. She couldn't hold herself and she cried the pain she felt. While Beak Jin-jin struggled with her illness, her 2 children grew up fast. The first son, Sung Woo Mun, was an exact replica of his mother, with her good looks and well-built body, and he was just smart too. His only flaw was that he was a cunning and ill-tempered boy. Sung Woo Mun was kind to not shy away from boldly expressing his opinions. If he disliked something, he had to make it known immediately to feel relief. He got his mother's look but not her personality. As per Beak Jin-jin, even her is like his eldest son before she got sick. She believes that illness really changes personality. And thus, Wuman, who was so healthy and strong, grew weak and pale like his mother, his personality fading along with it. D-wang noticed that his son kept coughing, so he was confused about how the kid who used to run around everywhere became so weak. The second son, Sung Woo Kang, was the opposite of his brother. He got no good qualities from either of his parents. He was strong and sturdy, and could easily make kids 3 or 4 years older than him cry. But, unlike his brother, he wasn't very bright. When Wuman turned 10 and Woo Kang 7, they caught the attention of the HWA-san martial artist group that came to stay at the inn. They noticed Woo Kang's sturdy body and believed that if this kid will receive training from their HWA-san martial artists group, he could become someone great. Their father D-wang was thrilled, as he believes that if his 2 sons could be part of the honorable Miram community, nobody can touch them. He asked the martial artists if they could teach his sons, but then they only wanted to bring Wu Kang with them because they saw Wuman's body was weak and might collapse within 5 days of training. Wuman felt sad upon hearing it, and even his father cannot do anything for him. If you want, we can take Sung Woo Kang and teach him our ways, the artist offered, and both Wu Kang, Wuman, and D-wang feel down. But then, Wu Kang decided to accept the opportunity. He goes along with the martial artists during the night and he promises to his father and brother that he will come back soon. It can be seen on his face how sad he is for leaving without his brother. But since this was a good opportunity for him, he continued and walked away with the group of martial artists, leaving his father and brother speechless. Although Wuman's body grew weaker, and he could not play to his heart's desire, not once did he complain or grumble. No matter how ill he felt, he would not let his parents know, for fear of worrying them. Moreover, he would always inquire about his mother's health and worry for her. Although he always made an effort to never appear weak, this time, even he found it unbearable. Sung Woo Mun and Sung Woo Kang grew up listening to stories about the HWA-san martial artists group and the Muram community. For them, seeing the HWA-san group in real life was a rare opportunity. D-wang feels that his eldest son is crying, but then Woo Mun keeps hiding and denying his pain. Wu Kang proudly traveled with the martial artists, while Woo Mun was crying all night, wondering why he was too weak compared to others. He felt depressed that HWA-san martial artists didn't select him to come with them. The day HWA-san's choice changed the fate of the boys. Beak, Jin-jin, and Sung D-wang talked about it, and the lady was worried for his youngest son. D-wang told her that Wu Kang really wanted to go, so he cannot do anything about it. Jin-jin was worried about Wu Kang, who followed the martial artists, and at the same time was worried about Wuman, who was left alone with them. She only wanted her kids to grow up like ordinary kids. D-wang was out of words while listening to her, so he decided to leave the room. He was about to go to the kitchen to make some food for Wuman, but he noticed a bright light outside their house. Because of curiosity, he decides to check it. When he opened the door, he suddenly screamed like he was so scared. Wuman heard his loud voice and he immediately opened his window to check on his father. What he witnessed makes him shocked. The day the fates of the two children changed by the choice made by the HWA-san group. A wavery long white hair was owned by a man wearing a white robe and put his 2 hands behind him while he was floating in the air. It's the day that this person came to change Wuman's new destiny. It was an old man who floated above in front of Wuman and D-wang, causing the two of them to be dumbfounded. The old man comes down and walks towards D-wang. While Wuman is looking at him, he suddenly whispered Shinsen, a Taoist sage with miraculous power. He immediately ran downstairs. The old man said that he was starving and wanted to eat a bowl of plain noodles. Wuman guided him inside the inn and they gave him what the old man needed. The old man is enjoying eating his food while Wuman keeps staring at him, wondering if a sage can really eat food. When the old man was done eating, he asked for the price he needed to pay, but then D1 didn't want him to pay even a single penny. Although I am poor, I cannot simply leave like this, the old man said, and asked for a piece of paper and brushes. In D1's mind, the old man might write some good luck for him. He immediately rushed to look for a brush and a piece of paper. He was too excited as he wanted to wish good health for his wife and for him and his sons. Wuman kept staring at the old man, so the old man asked if he was fascinating. I see that you really wanted to learn the martial arts, seeing that you have even wept over it, the old man said, which made Wuman surprised as to how the old man knew about it. Instead of answering his confusion, the old man only laughed. Da-won came back-handed what the old man asked. As per the old man, he will draw a landscape painting for them with his humble skills for not taking any money from him. He then snaps the paper and splashes the ink. He started to paint while D1 and Wuman were observing him. He creates a stem with small flowers on it. There were also mountains and birds. D1 and Wuman were confused since they didn't see the brush in each direction, but it had sudden art on the paper that appeared instantly. When it's completely done, he explained that this painting is a representation of the gratitude he feels for this family. I hope you will cherish this dearly. I shall take my leave now, the old man said. The father and son were jaw-dropping while looking at the art. While the old man was about to leave, D1 remembered something. He then asked the old sage name, but the old man didn't give him an exact answer and only told him to remember him as a celestial master's thread. He then left, leaving D1 in confusion. While Wuman was looking at the painting, he heard a sudden voice saying that religious enlightenment and righteous duty cannot prove beneficial or harmful to anyone, but they can also prove beneficial and harmful to everyone. Even if one is omniscient, it cannot be called enlightenment, and even if one is enlightened, one cannot be omniscient. And even if one is omniscient and enlightened, one may still not be worthy of being called a saint. While listening to the voice, Wuman concludes that it's the old sage voice. Finally, the world of this old monk in this world has come to an end. The mysterious added. The words which were only heard by Wuman were said by the celestial master's movements Lao Tzu and Tao Te Ching. However, Wuman could not understand what a celestial master's thread was or know what the Tao Te Ching was. The words by Lao Tzu brought alive the landscape in Wuman's head, and soon he was entranced by the magnificent movement of the painting. There were two kinds of martial arts that one could attain from the painting. The swordsman with angelic and divine help and the swordsmanship of heaven and earth. They invited Wuman to the boundless world. D-wang was clueless upon seeing Wuman suddenly laughing. Wuman then told him that the painting in front of them is alive and moving. What? The painting is alive and moving? What nonsense? D-wang answered. Wuman continued his happiness while staring at the painting. After that day, Song Woo Mun, who spent his time entranced by the painting, grew into a strong young man, 20 years of age. At this moment, he was staring at the painting again and his father suddenly hit and scolded him for him to go back to his senses. He shouted while complaining that his head hurts, but then, his father was still mad so he ran away to escape. Everyone saw how his father wanted to hit him but they only laughed since they are used to it. Although the painting had helped Wuman's body get strong, Wuman's mind, contrary to his body, had disappeared abruptly and he had turned the village idiot. He was rushing away to his house but a man suddenly punched him. The mistress almost got hurt because of you, the man said. Instead of apologizing, Wuman only stared at the lady, causing the lady's subordinates to be furious. Wuman and the lady named Yeon Si-hyun were looking at each other, but then, Wuman was interrupted by the man in front of him. The man was about to hit him but Wuman ran away, and the lady also said to let Wuman leave. While he was running, he unexpectedly bumped into another man. The man was mad and kicked him exactly on his chest, causing him to fall on the ground. The man then ignored him upon seeing the familiar lady in front of him. While they are talking, Wuman gets up and cleans his clothes full of dirt. He then overheard the man talking about a huge match that will be held in Goryongpyeong in 10 days that the entire Muram looks forward to. In this battle, Jeong Hwang Beak Sang-un, one of the greatest warriors in the world, and Gwaechangmi Jeonghung, one of the rising 6 great heroes, will be attending. Moreover, other masters who have thus far remained in the shadows for too long are also expected to be present. The man asked about Si-hyun's opinion, but then Si-hyun told him to stay away from her business. She then leaves the area together with her subordinates. The man then remembered that someone bumped him. When he looks at Wuman, Wuman is spacing out like crazy, so he believes that Wuman really lost his mind. When the night comes, D-wang is counting his income for the day, but he was disappointed knowing that their business has suffered a lot of loss, and he believes that he won't be able to cover the cost of medicine for his wife. When he looked at his son Wuman, he was staring at the painting again, which made him mad because Wuman is always like this after receiving the painting from the sage. He initially thought that the painting was helping his son regain his health, but somehow, he realized that his son's mind had grown weaker. He was shaking in anger while walking towards the painting with the intention of burning it. When he landed his hand, Wuman came back to his senses and he then blocked his father as he didn't want this art to be burned in ashes. D-wang shouted, ordering him to let go, but Wuman was begging him not to destroy the painting and he even claimed that it was his. Wuman massages his wrist and his father feels that he has become strong. He then pushed his son as he couldn't breathe. Both of them were panting and Wuman covered the painting with his body. A customer came all of a sudden, causing them to stop fighting. It was a lady and an old man, and this lady couldn't stop herself from laughing because of Wuman and D-wang. D-wang took their order, and when he prepared the food, the old man was talking to the lady named Dua. He complained about Dua's habit of laughing every time, even in simple things. They both then noticed Wuman gazing at the painting. The old man was intrigued, so he stood and looked for it too. Although he cannot tell who painted this art, he was still amazed at how well it utilized the classical technique. They both spaced out, but the old man was interrupted by Dua since there was food already served. Wuman handed food to Wuman, ordering him to deliver it, but Wuman didn't want to leave the painting as he was afraid that his father would burn it. His father gave him a promise, so he then ran fast to deliver the food. While the old man was eating, he was also thinking about the painting. It bothers him too much to the point that Dua noticed that he was thinking something so deeply. He suddenly gets up and stares at the painting once again. He gasps as he feels a strong surreal energy from it. He now confirmed that this painting is not just an ordinary painting. The more he stared at it, he could see the different colors in the painting. He gasps once more upon realizing that this painting is a treasure, an exquisite thing that is possibly worth millions. He was obsessed with the painting, which made Dua confused. "Excuse me, could you sell this painting to me?" the old man asked. He's willing to pay any amount just for this painting. D-wang at this point was thinking about their situation. He can see this as an opportunity to get money to buy medicine for his wife, and at the same time, he can get rid of the painting. Wuman at this point had delivered the food and he was excited to go back to their house to look at the painting again. D-wang didn't see this painting as a great treasure, so he only asked for 5 nyong in exchange for this painting. The old man was shocked by the small amount, but then, he immediately grabbed the painting and gave the money to D-wang. D-wang was very happy while looking at the money in his hand. With this money, he could buy medicine and the best meat for his wife. Although he feels bad for Wuman, he believes that it would be better for his son to have thrown it out. While the old man and Dua were about to leave, the old man suddenly stopped. He feels that he underpaid D-wang, so he also gives his piercing white divine sword. Dua is still clueless as to why the old man is willing to give his sword just for a shabby painting. At this point, D-wang received the sword gratefully and he instantly thinks about its price once he will sell it. Meanwhile, Wuman screamed so loud after he saw that the painting was gone. He rattled, but his father only lied to him. He asked his father if he burned it, but his father denied, so he believes that D-wang sold it to the old man. D-wang still tried to lie, but Wuman saw the sword. He immediately grabbed it and asked for the money that D-wang received from the old man. "No, I won't. You have no idea how bad things have been. It's been really difficult to get by," D-wang answered. Because of it, Wuman told him that he will tell Beak Jin-jin that he lied to him and sold the painting. D-wang was nervous because his wife told him that lying is an unforgivable sin, and that death is the only remedy for liars. He doesn't have a choice but to give the money to his son and let him take back the painting. Wuman then rushed, leaving his father with regrets, and couldn't believe that Wuman would go this far just for the painting. Wuman runs as fast as he can and he believes that the old man is going to Goryongpyo. The old man was walking in a hurry as he was excited to research the painting. Dua noticed how Wuman loves the painting and she laughed while thinking that Wuman will make an incredible fuss upon knowing that the painting is gone. To their surprise, someone suddenly roared so loud that Dua even covered her both ears. The old man turned around to check who it was and he saw Wuman, rushing to him with anger. He kept roaring and the old man shouted to him, asking him to stop. His voice has a force coming out which hit at Wuman, so Wuman stopped roaring so loud. By looking at his face, the old man and Sansu-hwa remembered that the man in front of them is the inn-owner's son. "That painting is mine," Wuman said. From his appearance, the old man never would have imagined that Wuman received any training in martial arts. But the fact that he ran all the way to them in one breath, and from that roaring, although it had no effect on him, it was powerful enough that Dua seemed considerably disturbed. Wuman gave back the sword and money to him and he told the old man that the painting is more important than anything in his life. Because of what he said, the old man was wondering if he really understood the true value of the painting. Wuman asked for the painting once again, but the old man told him that he really bought the painting from D-wang. Seeing that Wuman had the sword and the money he gave to D-wang, it is unquestionable for him that the painting really belongs to Wuman. He was looking at Wuman's sad aura and he became interested to know this kid's capability. He knows that Wuman let out a powerful roar without realizing it. He believes that there might be a secret hidden between Wuman and the painting. A plan, quite unlike him, is forming so quickly. At this point, Wuman remembered that the sage had drawn this painting for his father's services, so he realized that it was really not his and had just been claiming it stubbornly all this time. "According to your father, your family seems to be going through a hard time. Did you know that?" the old man asked, which made Wuman pause as he remembered his mother's medical bills. He squeezes his fist and grits his teeth while thinking that his father must have thought about his mother's health. He was mad at himself for forgetting about everything because of his obsession with painting. He apologized to the old man and let go of the painting. For someone who caused such a ruckus, he gave up easily after the old man mentioned Wuman's family. He believes that Wuman's heart is in the right place. Wuman fell down and the old man suddenly smiled as he was thinking of the plan in his mind. If Wuman can lay a finger on him even once, he shall not only return the painting but will also yield the money to him. "I have a lot of wealth. The money for your family means nothing to me. How about it then, do you accept?" the old man asked. Without any hesitation, Wuman agreed instantly. Wuman was confident that he could win the money for his mother's medicine, and the painting without knowing that this old man is Kunlun's #1 swordsman named Jin Won-myo. Even though Jin Won-myo could not be one of the greatest warriors in the world, he was said to be just as good and was known for being a great master. The person currently overlooking the field was in fact the greatest master of Kunlun, Jin Won-myo himself. Before Wuman started, he first confirmed to the old man if he could really get everything once he would win. Wuman at this rate is very determined to get both the money and especially the painting. He then tried it but he failed. When he tried once more, he had such great speed that the old man was even shocked by his movement. He slammed Wuman on the ground, but still, Wuman managed to get up and tried it several times. The old man is very capable of dodging, and with just a flutter, Wuman slammed into the ground once more. Wuman was confused about how it happened because, as he remembered, the old man didn't even lay a finger on him. He becomes more motivated and tells himself that he can definitely get the old man this time. But then, unfortunately, the same thing happened. Not once, but several times of failure. Since Wuman didn't win, the old man concludes that the powerful roar from Wuman earlier might only be an accident. This will not do. You should just give up, the old man said. But Wuman doesn't want to give up that easily. They may be subtle, but he has finally started to see Jin Won-myung's hand movement. His movements are similar to the movement of the leaves in landscape painting. If it's similar to the movements of the leaves, then he has seen it 1,000,000 times already, and he believes there's nothing he can't do. Jin Won-myung is aware that Wuman has resorted to tactless movements again. While Wuman tried to attack, the old man blocked him with a powerful force, causing Wuman to fly away and was hit at the tree. Dua at this point was worried for Wuman. She believes that his master is being too harsh to someone who doesn't even know martial arts. Jin Won-myung used the royal servant's golden dragon power technique on Wuman. In a movement's haste, he intentionally used more force than he wanted to. Wuman grips a stick. Since his arms were short, he concludes he might be able to touch the old man if in case he got the sword in his hands. As per Wuman, the old man's movement is greater than the leaves in the painting. He believes that if he touches the old man using a stick, he will be able to touch him this time. Jin Won-myung was confused with the stick he was holding. His energy had blocked Wuman's acupuncture points, but Wuman already unblocked it. He was thinking that Woo Mun might be hiding his endurance and energy unbeknownst to him. While Wuman is rushing to him, he was afraid to think that Wuman is a fiend. Wuman was about to hit him with the stick, but he didn't hold himself and used his full strength to push Wuman back. Wuman slides backward, and the old man believed that Wuman is trying to use Amida Buddha's most excellent power technique, which made Dua confused that a mere normal citizen in this village is capable of doing it. At this point, Wuman gasped and his body is shaking. He shouted for help and he started vomiting blood. By looking at him, Jin Won-myung finally understands Wuman's state. He believes that Wuman has learned martial arts through painting. However, Wuman's body remains untrained and thus could not endure the old man's attack. He rattled as he was feeling guilty about what he have done to a child. Wuman is screaming and his body is dying. He seems to be unable to overcome the attack and deteriorating. Jin Won-myung pulls him up to sit in the lotus position. He thumped Wuman's back and he ordered Dua to guard the area for at least an hour. He strikes Wuman's back and he talks to Wuman using his brain. He instructed Wuman not to open his mouth at any cost, no matter how it hurts. "Your life's on the line here," he added. He started chanting, doing his best to cure the kid. But then, he senses that Wuman's body has been severely damaged. If he puts all of his energy into this, he will be able to save Wuman. But Wuman will never be able to summon the energy and force required for martial arts. The old man was too guilty that his petty curiosity led him to cause such damage. Wuman at this rate becomes emotional, remembering his parents, as he thought that this will be the end of his life. While the old man is busy treating Wuman, Dua looks around and she realizes that they are on the road of Goryangpyeong. Suddenly, there were some people rustling in the bushes. Dua immediately turned around to check it. It was the evil, raucous, and corrupt four who wanted to take revenge on Jin Won-myung. Dua panicked as she doesn't know what she will do. "How dare you to appear in front of Master Tai Sheng? Seems like you are not afraid of dying," Dua uttered. She faced them like she was not frightened, but then she was clueless about what to do. Soon, the news of Jin Won-myung's death will be spread far and wide. The man answered. He was about to hit Dua, but someone suddenly came, blocking his sword. The men were furious that someone interfered. "As if it isn't bad enough that you're attacking someone who is in critical condition. But now 4 of you are ganging up on this young girl. You really are the lowest of vermin," the man said. They were about to attack, but in just a spin of his weapon together with an attack, all of their swords were shattered to pieces, which made them all dumbfounded. The man poised to attack and told them that they all lack the ability to judge their opponent correctly. While looking at him, Dua realized that this man is a master of martial arts. Jin Won-myung continues curing Wuman and he senses a strange suction force that has formed inside Wuman's body that is sucking his energy. He does his best to observe it. Wuman suddenly wakes up and finds himself inside his own body. His body is disintegrating and his blood is splattering. When he looked into his hands, he saw the energy that the old man was giving him. What makes him more shocked is he sees the lines from the landscape painting. He believes that this line is trying to guide him. He knows that if he uses the painting and the energy from the old man, he can fix his body. At that moment, without realizing it himself, Wuman took the teachings of landscape painting and restructured his body. Although it was only a moment, it felt like an eternity had passed. And at that moment, as Song Woo Mun's body moved, guided by instinct, he remained unaware of the transformation his body would soon undergo because of it. This man-made metamorphosis was a result of Song Woo Mun's own willpower. The old man vomits blood and plops down on the ground. He cleaned his mouth and he smelled the blood of others. When he turned around, he saw the weak bodies of the evil, raucous, and corrupt four. He believes that Dua cannot deal with all of them, so he asked if there's someone who helps her. Dua explained that there was a man with a spear who suddenly showed up and helped her but also leave just quickly too. Dua also said that the man's name is Jeong-hung. Gwachengmi Jeong-hung is the one who comes up to Jin Won-myung's mind. He sighed as he was thinking that he was already indebted to this man. He then looked to Wuman and said that he also owed a good fortune to Wuman. He barely managed to save him and also spent almost a third of his energy. But in between the ebb and flow of the tide, he learned something important. Dua was worried because Wuman didn't wake up yet. But then, the old man smiled and answered that Wuman will wake up sooner. Wuman suddenly moved and breathed deeply. All this while, he had been only vaguely wondering if what he was learning from being entranced in the painting was in fact martial arts. The thing he released back there was his inner energy and force. And the person who helped him do that is the old man. Dua noticed changes in him. He bows down as he was giving thanks to the old man. I had already resolved to give you back the painting and the money. But to satisfy my curiosity, I decided to test you. I'm really sorry, the old man said. He then asked Dua about the money he had left and gave it to Wuman along with the 5 nyong and his favorite painting. Wuman doesn't want to accept the extra money, but then, the old man insisted. Accepting it doesn't feel right for Wuman, but he told himself that he should think about his mother's situation. He then accepts it wholeheartedly and promised the old man that he will use it wisely. The old man smiled at Wuman's complete transformation, and he became an entirely new person that exceeded his expectations. Wuman also noticed the unconscious people in the area. The old man then explained to him that these people sought revenge against him. He also told Wuman that Gwachengma is the one who beat all of them. Wuman was shocked upon hearing it, and he believes that they owe this person their lives today. It's not something for you to concern yourself with. This happened because of me, and I am the one who owes him. Jin Won-myung answered. He then asked about the real artist of the painting, and Wuman told him that it was the Celestial Master's thread. Jin Won-myung was surprised upon hearing it, and it makes sense to him now why the painting is a treasure. During the 3 kingdoms of the Korean period, which is from 57 BC to 668 AD, the turmoil which erupted due to the Yellow Turban Rebellion was led by Zhang Ju, a follower of Taoism and sorcerer. Zhang Ju spearheaded the Great Peace Movement in Taoism. But alongside the Great Peace Movement, there was another Taoist movement growing popular at that time. It was the Way of the 5 Pecks of Rice movement. The man who led the way in the 5 Pecks of Rice movement, also known as Jang Chin-sa, was Zhang Ling. The Way of 5 Pecks of Rice is also known as the Chin-sa sect. The Celestial Master's thread that the sage was mentioned to Wuman and D-wang after giving the painting. Jin Won-myung concludes that it must definitely refer to the Chin-sa sect and the Way of the 5 Pecks of Rice. According to him, the martial arts teachings of the Chin-sa sect died with the last follower Jang Chin-sa. After that, the teachings were passed down orally under the title of Chin-sa-do, and that is how they exist today. It's an extremely astonishing feat for you to have learned the now extinct martial arts of the Chin-sa sect, Jin Won-myung said. Wuman asked if Jin Won-myung knew the name of the sage who drew the painting. But then, Jin Won-myung said that it still remains a mystery even to him. They can only guess that the person was one who wished to pass on the teachings of Chin-sa. He understands now how Wuman's body soaked up his with such ease. It was because the energy Wuman possesses is that which forms the roots of Taoism, and is the energy of the Chin-sa sect. He felt so tempted. He was thinking that if he takes Wuman under his wing, in the future the kid will bring fame to the Kunlun faction. But then, if he will take someone who is learned in the Chin-sa martial arts, there will surely be people voicing their opposition. His greed has once again outwon everything else. If it meant to be in the future, he decided to consider this again. And for now, he will only offer his meager help. Thinking back to our duel, I see that you're well taught in swordsmanship and manifesting your energy. But it looks like you haven't learned footwork yet, Jin Won-myung stated. Footwork refers to the way someone moves their feet while dueling someone. It includes all movements such as approaching, moving, circling, and more. I shall teach you one such movement as an expression of my repentance. The old man added. From the other point of view, a commander named Jang is reporting to Yon Si-hyun that they are short of men. If you do not want to be slighted compared to the other noble families, you should consider their influence and supply them with men," Commander Jang stated. He suggested giving 50 warriors, but then Si-hyun ordered him to recruit temporary workers to send to Seoul for work. Commander Jang resisted and told her that what they need is warriors, not workers. "Commander Jang, is our purpose to fight?" Si-hyun asked. She explained that they only need workers who look like warriors, as she believes that no one would dare to challenge them if they appear to have a massive force. "Okay, I understand. Then I shall do what you command," Commander Jang answered. Si-hyun was thinking that if there was even one useful man among the workers, it would work out well. Going back to Wuman, he was shaking while his sweat drops from his forehead. Jin Won-myung shows him a style of footwork. He was so fast that Wuman can't even see him clearly, which he believes he cannot learn from this old man. But then, there was a sudden energy surrounding him and it helped him see clearly the movement of Jin Won-myung. He smiled and focused on learning from Won-myung. Although it does get blurred constantly, if he focuses his mind and directs his spirit towards his eyes, he can see it. Jin Won-myung was performing the divine and ethereal captivating movement footwork, which was considered to be one of the best inside the Kunlun sect. It has the astonishing power to render the onlooker's vision blurry and captivate them. It was one of the hardest footwork methods to learn. Wuman instinctually directed the energy of the celestial and divine swordsmanship towards his eyes and narrowly managed to see the movements of Won-myung. Won-myung stopped and left his footwork on this rock so that Wuman could refer to it to memorize his movements. He bids goodbye to Wuman and hands him the Kun Friendship Medallion. According to him, the piercing white divine sword was used by the Bon faction's Emperor Wang Yungyong and is priceless. He was planning on giving it to Wuman in exchange for the painting, but right now, he doesn't have any other means to defend himself. Instead, he gave this medallion to Wuman wholeheartedly and hoped that Wuman would use it wisely when the time arises. "Promise me one thing. Vow to never sell or throw away the Kun Friendship Medallion. Even though it is the last remaining medallion, I do not regret giving it to you," Won-myung said. "I promised. Thank you. If I get a chance, I shall visit Kunlun," Wuman answered. The old man and Dua then leave the area together. No one could have guessed that today, which was short and long at the same time, would bring such unprecedented change into Wuman's life. Wuman went back to his house and his father was surprised that he managed to get back the painting and even got money. He put the painting back on the wall and reminded his father not to sell the painting again without his knowledge. While looking at him, D-wang feels like his son seems slightly different, as if he regained his mental capacity. Wuman sits, facing the painting again. He wanted to go back to the painting's fantasy and meet the lines from the painting that guided him inside his body. D-wang was annoyed that his conclusion was wrong upon seeing that his son was gazing at the painting. He was startled when Wuman suddenly screamed. Wuman cannot be able to go back to the fantasy. He concludes that he might need some rest and tries again by tomorrow. The next day, he tried once again but it still wasn't working. 2 days have passed but the same thing happened. He was shaking and angry, so his father believed that his son really did not change even a bit. 4 days later, he still tried to get back in the fantasy. His father couldn't hold back and grabbed his shoulder. "I thought you have gotten better, but you only seem to have gotten worse. How much longer are you going to torture your parents? If only for your sake, I should burn the painting and throw it away," D-wang said, which made Wuman realize things. He apologized to his father and accepted his selfishness. He also promised that he will never go back to the way he was. "I'm sorry, father," Wuman wholeheartedly said. He believes that the illusion has vanished completely. He decided to give up and forget about the painting for the sake of his loving parents. His father suddenly cried so loud. It's been a long time since Wuman has said something befitting his age. That's why his father is very glad that his son recovered after so long. Wuman feared that he may have been entranced by the painting and left his life like a fool, all this while without realizing what effect it was having on his parents. He feels down while thinking that he has not been a good son after all. But then, he vowed that he will live well from now on. Wuman let his father go to sleep and he then went directly in front of the painting. When he closed his eyes, he saw the sage who made the painting and was facing a lady who was lying in bed. The old man apologized to the lady who he called his child. As per the old man, his daughter had a Tiangjiki, a condition that one cannot overcome. Wuman was shocked after he found himself in this place. He approaches the old man to ask if the lady is sick. The old man told him that his desire to try and fix Tiangjiki led to his Zion deteriorating. Tiangjiki refers to a person born with exceptionally strong and volatile energy. The person suffers from an imbalance of yin and yang and is extremely weak. They eventually die when they turn 20. According to the old man, Tiangjiki is a rare disease that affects 1 in 100 people. It is so rare that many people don't even know what it means. For the past 200 years, he has been studying this disease and has been trying to save these kids. But his effort has been unsuccessful. The old man let Wuman see himself while looking at the painting. They also both transmitted to Wuman's inside body. The celestial and divine swordsmanship brings eternal harmony. The swordsmanship of heaven and earth contains the logic of all things in the universe. These two martial arts forms have intermixed into one to occupy the blood vessels. They are extinguishing the fire that is burning Wuman's body. Wuman was shocked after knowing that he had the Tiong Jiki, and that the landscape painting was made to cure him. Wuman, you have successfully escaped the curse and left past your 20th year. Congratulations are in order, the old man said. Their relationship has finally reached its conclusion. Tao, eventually, does not refer to a singular path. There is no distinction between good and evil in Tao, and that is why there are Shinxian and Mason in the world. Shinxian refers to good while Mason refers to evil. There's Juxian, alcoholics, Axian, vile people, Kiamsan, and a great swordsman. No matter what anyone says, never think of Tao as being constant. Just find your own path and your own reason, the old man advises. After it, Wuman comes back to his senses and the painting becomes a black canvas. He realized that the sage presented the painting to him for a reason. The old man bequeaths martial arts to cure Wuman of his illness. Wuman rises and takes a bow in front of the blank canvas to give thanks to the old man for helping him leave longer. Outside at Wuman's house, there is a man sitting on the roof of a neighboring house. It was Guichengmi Jiangheng. It's good to see that he's been living well, he uttered. The next day, Wuman was so excited to start his day as his body felt much better and revitalized. He wanted to become productive, so he immediately fetched some water, and he was amazed that he came back to the inn without spilling even one drop of water. He then maps the floor and even cleans the dishes. His mother got up from bed and was surprised to see how hardworking he was. She's very happy that Wuman is finally speaking the way he ages. Wuman held his mother's hand and he felt sad that it was too thin and cold. He guided his mother to go back inside her room and just take a rest. It's so nice to see that you seem to have returned to your old self, Beak Jin-jin said. Upon hearing it, Wuman was guilty that he had been such a bad son. He then left the room and found his father, who had just woken up. From now on, I shall help you with running the inn. If there's any difficult work, make me do it, Wuman stated. D-wang cried once again after realizing that what happened last night is not a dream. Meanwhile, everything in the inn was so clean, but Wuman still feels so energetic. D-wang then let him go out to have fun for a while. He then remembered some important things to do. He goes directly to the rock that has the footprints of one Myung. He then tried it himself, the divine and ethereal captivating movement. When he followed one Myung's footprints, he suddenly fell and he realized that it's not really that easy. He tried once more and enjoyed every stomp he made. Whenever Wuman felt disheartened about the landscape painting, he would concentrate on the martial arts lesson by one Myung. For countless days, Wuman struggled to learn the moves. For no matter how much he had changed, he was still untutored in martial arts. While Wuman is about to go to sleep, he realizes that sleeping is just a waste of time. He gets up and remembered the celestial and divine swordsmanship. In the end, he decided to come out and spend his time practicing the footwork. His father said that he still had full energy despite the fact that it was already evening. Upon hearing it, Wuman realized something. He comes to the conclusion that the reason why he couldn't follow Wan Myung's movement is because of the difference in muscle strength. Whenever he hopes to come close to mastering his movements, his body fails to follow. When he arrived at the rock, he was correct in his thinking. He hadn't had an opportunity to train his muscles all this while, and thus he was unable to match up to Wan Myung's speed. Wuman focused on learning martial arts movements and gaining muscle strength. The muscle that improved due to the metamorphosis also developed much faster than others. Several days passed in this manner, and Wuman became capable of carrying a huge rock and then smashing it on the ground. He never thought that he could become this strong. He tries and tries the footwork until he feels that he's a little bit closer to mastering Wan Myung's movement. He's able to follow Wan Myung's movements a little bit more and he has so much fun doing it. When he tried to do it with a sword, the sword unexpectedly disappeared. Wuman perfected Wan Myung's movements and naturally conjured up the landscape painting strokes instinctually without realizing it himself. This was known as yearning for the sword. From this day, he realized that he wanted to have his own sword. He remembered the night he was holding a stick and imagining it like a sword to attack Wan Myung. He was sure that even at that time, although he had 3 branches in his hands, it was because he had something that the attack was possible. Wuman found out that the broken swords of the evil, raucous, and corrupt 4 were still in that place. He then went to a blacksmith and told the owner that he wanted the sword to be repaired. "I humbly request you," Wuman said. While looking at him, the blacksmith noticed that Wuman has changed so much since the last time they saw each other. As for him, this broken sword cannot be put to good use once it's melted. Wuman asked if he would be able to purchase a sword using the broken one, but the blacksmith casually answered no. I do not make weapons, and neither do I sell them. The blacksmith stated. The weapons he made would rob countless people of their lives. He doesn't want to put clothes on his back by resorting to such acts. He offered Wuman that he would melt the broken sword and make a bowl instead. But then, Wuman rejected his offer and humbly asked that he would like to be trained in the craft of sword making. If you agree to teach me, I will do everything you asked me for, Wuman said. The blacksmith doesn't want to let him make his own sword, but Wuman begged. Hai stared at Wuman and realized that Wuman wasn't like this before. Your stubbornness stands testimony to the fact that you are your father's son. Okay then, would you please move all the ironware into the warehouse by today? If you succeed, I promise to teach you, the blacksmith said. He thought that it will be difficult for Wuman to lift one or two of the ironware. But then, after 2 hours, he have moved all of it, which made the blacksmith shocked. A promise is a promise. I shall teach you, the blacksmith uttered. He then called his son to show Wuman how to work with the bellows. His son was so annoyed, but he doesn't have a choice either. He started teaching Wuman, and according to him, it is not easy to make a sword. Even learned blacksmiths like them have to devote at least half a year to learn how to bellow. Wuman followed what the kid taught him. He strokes the flames through the wind. The wind blows violently upon melting the fire, almost like how the painting used to sway. In order to make a sword, one must learn how to control wind and fire. While observing him, the kid was annoyed to think that Wuman suddenly becomes so smart. He then decides to move on to forging. He said that in forging, the strikes should be strong, but controlled. There should not be the slightest error upon striking. At this part, he thought that Wuman can't do it even 10 times. Wuman believes that weak strikes would be futile, whereas excessively strong strikes would ruin the shape. And that forging can definitely improve one's concentration. He wanted to try it himself, so the kid told him to get a big mallet. Breath is important here. Control your breathing as well, the kid advised. He thought that Wuman can't last for 30 minutes. But then, when Wuman tried it, he was enjoying slamming the mallet and didn't even feel tired doing it. The kid was irritated that Wuman is doing the forging well without even breaking a sweat. Enough. We're done forging for today. Of course, you're bad at it. Really bad. Extremely dreadful. The kid shouted out of annoyance. The next step will be welding. And still, Wuman also did it perfectly. Damn it, it's all correct, the kid angrily said. The blacksmith was also observing Wuman and was confused about how he was able to learn such difficult things in such a short amount of time. Wuman is almost as if he is making the sword and engaging in swordsmanship. The blacksmith was dumbfounded seeing Wuman find such pleasure in forging a sword. In all of his years of working as a blacksmith, his face didn't ever portray such an open joy. The blacksmith stopped his son from teaching Wuman as he decided that he will be the one to train Wuman from here onward. It can see on Wuman's face how happy he is that a blacksmith will personally train him. The blacksmith started forging while Wuman is observing his movement. This big man's movement is different than his son Min Seong. Although he doesn't explain as much as Min Seong, Wuman can learn much more by observing him. The way he handles fire. His hammering is neither too weak nor excessively strong, and they have equal accurate intervals in between. Just by looking at him, Wuman feels as if he's watching a sword fight. How about it then? Do you think you can do it? The blacksmith asked, and Wuman confidently answered yes. 4 days later, Min Seong and his father walked going toward their shop. They were talking about Wuman, and Min Seong believed that Wuman will take at least 10 years to carve out the sword. But then, when they arrived, they witnessed Wuman making his own sword. Wuman is very proud of himself that he finally made a sword with his own strength. Min Seong was jaw-dropping, but his father is just emotionless. When Wuman is making the sickle, he felt so slow. But when he was making the sword, his hands were moving by themselves. It comes to his mind that it may be because of the painting. But he suddenly remembered the true person who helped him. He bows down to the blacksmith and gives thanks for his help. There is no more need for you to make sickles or hoes. You can make as many swords as your heart desires. In exchange, promise me that the swords you make here, you shall only use fair and justly, the blacksmith stated. Of course, I promise, Wuman answered. Wuman then go home while holding his sword and was excited that he can now finally learn the swordsmanship of heaven and earth. The next day, Wuman is very excited to help his father in their inn. The people witnessed the changes in him, and they even compared Wuman's movement to his father. He owes this to all that I've taught him, D-wang shouted. He then whispered to his son to ask the reason for his excitement. I'm just working hard, nothing else, Wuman answered. All of a sudden, Si-hyun came to their inn together with 2 men. D-wang welcomed them wholeheartedly while Wuman's mood changed upon seeing that the man who bullied him named Im-chu came. They then sit down and Im-chu wanted to sit beside Si-hyun but Si-hyun's uncle blocked him. They were about to argue but Si-hyun stopped them. Im-chu is getting mad that nobody gets their order. To their surprise, Wuman appeared at their table instantly and asked what they wanted. He recommended thin noodles and Peking duck and Si-hyun is okay with it. Wuman then leaves their table and hit Im-chu's back. After a while, they were done eating and were about to leave the inn. Im-chu told them that they should go first as he has some business to attend to. Si-hyun together with his uncle then go home first without him. After they left, Im-chu suddenly kicked the inn's door and complained that there was a hair strand in the food they ate. Wuman was about to fight him but then D-wang stopped him and reminded him that Im-chun is the noble lady's man. He's uttering rubbish to get back at us. How am I supposed to take it quietly? Wuman answered. But then, his father told him to endure his feelings. D-wang refunded Im-chun for the money they paid and Im-chun accepted it and warned them to be careful next time. He then leaves the inn while Wuman is staring at him with anger. While Im-chu was walking home, Wuman suddenly appeared behind him and called him bunny teeth. Im-chu called him an idiot and Wuman asked him if he wanted to get hit by a crazy guy. I was going mad with anger anyway, I shall give you a taste of it. Im-chu said, try it if you can, you asshole. Wuman confidently answered. Im-chu was about to punch Wuman but Wuman hit him normally on the face. Im-chu was thinking that the punch was only Wuman's luck so he tried again with killing intent, but still, Wuman was too calm, blocked his attack, and punched him in the face once more. Wuman also kicked him and pulled his 2 bunny teeth. You're not even a larva, why is it taking you so long to grow out of this? Wuman said. At this point, Im-chu is having a nosebleed and wondering about how Wuman becomes so strong. Wuman warned him not to come to their inn again. The 2 people who came with you look different than a ruffian like you. Don't bring shame to their name by using it for yourself and live honestly. Wuman added. He also gets the money that D-wang gave to Im-chu. And before he left, he struck a strong punch to Im-chu's mouth. Im-chu couldn't fight him back and couldn't do anything but to run. Wuman smiled and he felt good to see himself get stronger. The next day, Wuman handed the money he got from Im-chun to his father. When he was about to leave, several ladies went inside their inn. Wuman paused when he saw a beautiful simple lady with orange hair. Her name is Yo-seol and Wuman sees her as a girl in a fairy tale. While Wuman is staring at her, the lady in front is annoyed that Wuman noticed Yo-seol instead of her. Wuman asked them what they wanted and Yo-seol told him to serve tasty food at a reasonable price since they are not all familiar with this inn. She also asked for 2 rooms because they will stay for a night and will leave the next morning. Wuman widely smiled at her and the lady in front named Sajio teased them both which made Yo-seol shy. Wuman then gave them a table and instructed them to wait for a few minutes for their food to be served. While they were about to sit, Sajio complained that her chair was too old so she told Yo-seol to exchange seats. Wuman takes a glance at them and he is confused why Sajio is so mean with Yo-seol. He also noticed that the 3 girls were talking while nobody talked to Yo-seol. After they ate, Sajio asked for their respective room that Wuman prepared. Wuman wagged his finger as a sign that they should follow him. But then, Sajio was annoyed just because of it. Her companion calmed her down and even told her that Wuman is just an innkeeper who doesn't even know martial arts. Wuman was a little bit irritated that they underestimate those people who don't have the capability in martial arts. But then, nothing came out of his mouth and he let them speak what they wanted. He then shows the room and as expected, Sajio is complaining once again. All the other rooms are occupied. If you are dissatisfied with the room, you should go to another inn. Wuman answered which made Sajio mad and wanted to hit him using martial arts. Her companion warned her not to attack someone, otherwise, their master will be mad at her. Since she's complaining that the room is too small, Wuman offered a space on the stable so Sajio comes up with the idea to let Yo-seol sleep there. Yo-seol is so good that she followed what Sajio demanded. Wuman guided her and Yo-seol was surprised that the room Wuman gave her was a big and clean room. Plus, Wuman will not ask for any charge from her. Yo-seol doesn't want to be selfish and wanted to call the other girls but Wuman stopped her with a reason that the girls might already fall asleep. Wuman also asked her to keep it a secret as he was afraid that those ladies might become furious at him. Okay, thank you, Yo-seol answered. Of course, don't worry and sleep well, Wuman said and left the room. After he left, Yo-seol was enjoying the spacious room and she was so glad to rest for a night peacefully. She was unaware that Wuman is still outside the door and observing her to make sure that she was fine. He then left and decided to practice his martial arts. In the middle of the night, Im-chu is outside the inn together with several men. He ordered these people to punish Wuman in exchange for silver coins. He evilly smiled while thinking that Wuman will no longer be able to walk on his feet again. On the same night, Wuman comes out from the inn and decides to go to the rock where he practices his footwork. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Till next time.